Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Darlington Raceway as we're getting set for Go or Go Home qualifying to get ourselves prepared for tomorrow night's race here at Darlington Raceway for Season 4 of the Red Bull GT Series. Yes, kind of weird. We're qualifying on a Friday, believe it or not. This is normally when we would have the Craftsman Truck Series race weekend, but because the Craftsman Truck Series drivers are off this week, and the only series we have this weekend is the Winston Cup Series. So we've decided to have Go or Go Home qualifying and main qualifying on Friday. The race will be tomorrow night, so that will be interesting. And then the Winston Cup Series race will be on Sunday. Just to mix it up, of course, this series will be off next week because we have Indianapolis next weekend for Trucks, Busch, and Winston Cup Series, because it is, for the Winston Cup Series, an elimination race, and 4 drivers will be eliminated from the championship. As here's Sam Tenley, the first driver out onto the track. Got a couple of fill-in drivers that are going to be taking part. So there's going to be some drivers like Courtney Lynn, who's not here, cannot qualify in Go or Go Home qualifying because their priority is qualifying first of all, their Winston Cup Series car. As Sam Tenley is the first car out onto the track. That's Avon Murray in the 20s, subbing for Monica Towns, as Monica Towns is at Michigan right now. 29-131 for Avons. That's Sophia Woodward in the 8 car in place of Courtney Lynn, who's not here this weekend, or not here at the track because she's at Michigan. If Sophia Woodward and the 20 make the show and qualify that car, which they will, Courtney Lynn and Monica Towns will have to start at the rear of the field due to the driver change. As Nathan Orman just went to the top of the timesheets at 28.375. There's Ormy. .55 went quicker. Same with the 20 and the 8. Let's see if Ormy improves. He goes the second quickest. There's Brooke Packett trying to make the show this week. R.B. Gardner, Deanne Johnson. There's Luna Farmer trying to make her second start. Lizette Armstrong, currently 5th quickest. Has not been the season she was hoping for. Same with Matthew Hubert. Here's Avon Murray. Now, before anybody in the comment section asks why Avon Murray is in this car, it's because Monica Towns, who normally would drive this 20 machine, she's at Michigan right now qualifying her Winston Cup Series car, which, by the way, the Winston Cup Series race is on Sunday. So they are qualifying their car at the same time this session is going on. So it would make a lot of sense for Avon Murray to fill in for Monica Towns. And as I said, if the 20 does make the show, and with Avon Murray being the driver of the car that's qualifying it, wherever the 20 car qualifies, if they make the main event, Monica Towns will have to go to the rear of the field tomorrow night if she makes the show. There's Ingrid Pollard. And that's Sophia Woodward in the 8 car, who's in the final transfer spot. Same deal for Courtney Lynn. If this 8 car makes the show, because of the driver change, Courtney Lynn will have to go to the rear of the field if this car makes the show. which would mean the A car will not take part in qualifying, so that way Courtney Lynn would start at the rear of the field. Probably save some tires and save the car for the race if they make the show, and well, she just got bumped. There's Tico Jumiaka, there's Davis Santi. Now, if they were at the same track, which would make a little bit of sense, then I could have seen that happen. Nathan Orman, 28162. He's currently the quickest right now. Good thing for Tico Jumiaka, he's not racing this weekend, but he will be racing next weekend at Indianapolis. Of course, Red Bull GT Series will be off next weekend, or next week. They normally would race Monday this week, but because of the fact that the only series we have racing going on is the Winston Cup Series, we decided to give them a few more days off than what we originally planned, and then they will be off next week, as I said, because it'll be only Craftsman Trucks, Busch, and Winston Cup from Indianapolis. For the trucks and Busch, it would be race 1 of the rounds of 10 and 12. And then Sunday is the first elimination race for the Winston Cup. And as I said, 4 drivers are going to get eliminated from the championship. Red Bull will be at Nashville the following week. Nashville Super Speedway will have Go or Go Home qualifying on Sunday night, preparing ourselves for Monday night's race. And then we're off to Pocono for all 3 series for Craftsman Trucks, Busch, and Winston Cup. It will be the first elimination race for the Craftsman Truck Series drivers. It will be the first elimination race for the Busch Series drivers, and then it will be the first race of the second round for the Cup drivers. And then Red Bull GT Series the week after will be joining the Winston Cup Series drivers that weekend. Of course, that will be when we head to Chicagoland, while Winston Cup heads to Lime Rock Park, which will set us up for the second elimination race at Kansas. So really important for these drivers to get some time. And I bet you if you are a driver like this guy right here, Tico Jumiaka, you'd be a little concerned about next weekend as Sophia Woodward's heading back out on the track. There's Avon Murray. As I said, she is a fill-in for Monica Towns. Right now, the 20 would make the show, but as I said before, because of the driver change, Monica Towns will have to go to the rear of the field. So that attempt will go to Monica Towns only. Same with Courtney Lynn. If they make the top 7, both will start at the rear of the field. By the way, Sophia Woodward is a Cricket Cup Series driver. She'll be one of 2 drivers from Oklahoma that will be racing in the Oreo Cup Series next season, the other being yours truly. But I'm only running a part-time schedule. That's the only catch. There's Lizette Armstrong. Lizette's really had a rough rookie campaign going, has failed to qualify for several races, and when she has qualified, she's done okay as far as that's concerned. There's Luna Farmer. Deanne Johnson in the 77. There's R.B. Gardner, who's currently the slowest in this session. Needs to find about 100th is what the 8's looking for. Yeah, needs to find 100th. If they're going to have any chances of having Courtney Lynn race tomorrow night. Otherwise, Courtney Lynn's going to get the bad news. She will not make the show, and then her only focus for this weekend will be on Michigan and Michigan only. And like I said, Monica Towns will not be showing up to Darlington until after Winston Cup final practice is done. That is tomorrow. Good thing is, because the race will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that will give some drivers that are currently over in the Irish Hills of Michigan some time to get in the helicopter, fly over here. Because, like I said, if Monica Towns makes the race, the first lap she's going to turn is the race tomorrow. And remember, in the Winston Cup Series, there's only 40 drivers there for the 40 spots. Nobody goes home. And I think Courtney Lynn will be glad there will be an off week next week, because I think she can focus on the Brickyard this weekend, or next weekend, rather. As we're looking at Brooke Packett and Timo Mauser. Mauser's currently in the show. So we would end up having 41 drivers qualifying instead of the full 42 car field, because, as I said, should the 20 make the show, the 20 is going to be starting at the rear of the field and will not even take part in qualifying. Probably want to save a set of tires for the race tomorrow if they make the show. Nathan Orman's looking like he's going to make the show, because nobody's beaten a 28-162. And there's Avon Murray. Avon Murray has been rumored to possibly get a car for the Oreo Cup Series next season. What car that will be is TBD. Down to 2.5 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. Right now, the 7 on the outside looking in, Sophia Woodward in place of Courtney Lynn. So the D&Q will actually go to Courtney Lynn and not Sophia Woodward, because she's not in that car. But we are expecting Sophia Woodward to be possibly going full time if whenever we announce details for season 5. Davis Santi, Brooke Packett, Lizette Armstrong, Danny Johnson, Luna Farmer, and R.B. Gardner would be the other 6 drivers that would not make the show as things stand. So I need to pull up the ticker back up here. There's Luna Farmer. Bet Luna Farmer, of course, next week she's gonna head over to Indianapolis, get ready for the race weekend for the Busch Series. It was also announced today, just before this qualifying session at the media center this morning. It was announced that Luna Farmer is going to focus on. She'll be back in the Busch Series next season, but will not be driving the 57. She's going to move over to Dale Earnhardt Incorporated in the Busch Series next season. She's also going to attempt some Winston Cup Series races on top of that, so we'll see how she does. And of course, that new season's going to be just around the corner whenever I have time to record. As there's Sophia Woodward, it's looking very likely Courtney Lynn will not race this race tomorrow night, but the focus thing for Courtney Lynn, she's just going to focus on Michigan on Sunday. And it's looking like we are definitely going to have 41 drivers qualifying coming up when we go to commercial break, because like I said, because the 20 made the show, as we have a tie between the 15 and the 20. By the way, zero's on the clock. The tiebreaker would go to owner points, if I can go back to the points table for the Red Bull GT Series. And because the 15 has made more attempts than the 20, in fact, the 15's made every attempt this season, same with the 20, but remember, we've had a different driver in the 20, the 15 would take the tiebreaker. Don't know if anybody else has improved. Looks like they have not. So Nathan Orman's going to make the show. And of course, it was also announced Nathan Orman's also going to attempt the, as I need to make sure the announcer shuts up. Nathan Orman's going to be making his return. He's going to be in the Busch Series next season. It was just announced. He's also going to run a limited schedule in the Winston Cup Series. We'll have more details on that at a later time. But he will make the show along with Ingrid Pollard, Tico Jumiaka, Sam Tenley, Timo Mauser, Matthew Hubert, and Avon Murray. So Monica Towns will get the race tomorrow night. However, because of the fact that 20 is going to be qualifying with Avon Murray, because that is a driver change, Monica Towns is not going to take part. The 20 is not going to take part in pole qualifying. You'll see coming up in a bit. So they will start 42nd position. Of course, makes a lot of sense because, Darlington's a tough track, so they can definitely move their way to the front. Sadly, the drivers who will miss this race will be Sophia Woodward, so that means Courtney Lynn will miss the show again. I have a feeling Sophia Woodward's going to be in this car for the rest of the season. Probably have Courtney Lynn focus on the Winston Cup Series side, which probably would make a lot of sense. David Santi, Brooke Packett, Lizette Armstrong. There's probably been some rumors Lizette Armstrong's going to focus more on getting ready for the Oreo Cup Series. Danny Johnson, Luna Farmer, RB Gardner. Those drivers are not going to race tomorrow night. So a tough break for them. So they will have to try again, or in Courtney Lynn's case, as their weekend is done, or in Courtney Lynn's case, her weekend's not done, as she can focus on Michigan for the Winston Cup Series race since she's locked in the show over there. But we're going to take a commercial break. On the other side of the break, we're going to get ready for pole qualifying to see who will start on the pole for tomorrow night's race here at Darlington. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Darlington Raceway here for the Red Bull GT Series qualifying as they prepare for tomorrow night's race here at Darlington Raceway. Of course, most of the Winston Cup Series drivers taking part just got back to Michigan, like Cody Smart, who just had an early draw for the qualifying for the Winston Cup Series. He just got back. As we're looking at Ricky Cervantes. The only driver who hasn't arrived at the track, however, is going to be Monica Towns, because I was told she will be the last car out for Winston Cup qualifying. So she will not take part. Of course, Avon Murray will be filling in for Monica Towns during this qualifying session, the group qualifying, as the first lap is a 45.807 for Cervantes, but that's his get up to speed lap since his pit stall is behind the start finish line. So this will be his first official time lap. And like I mentioned before, because that is a driver change in the 20 car, and of course Monica Towns will get the race tomorrow night. Because that's a driver change, Monica Towns will have to start, regardless where they qualified, they will have to start at the rear of the field due to the driver change. So what Avon Murray's going to be focusing on in this qualifying session, as it's a 28.794 for Cervantes, just to get comfortable and just get the car ready for race trims tomorrow for Monica Towns. There's Kyle Langley. Of course, he's not racing this weekend because Busch Series are off this weekend. Nathan Orman's on top. There's Jesse Art. There's Ponzo Albanese. Sam Tenley, who just made it in. There's Maddie Crenshaw, who, by the way, just arrived. She just arrived to the track after she had an early draw for Winston Cup qualifying, so that is good news. So Maddie Crenshaw will not be going to the rear of the field for tomorrow night's race, and she already finished her qualifying session. She will head back to Michigan, get ready for Winston Cup happy hour tomorrow. That is the only thing we have agenda because that's the only series for activity. So she'll head back to Michigan tonight, along with Annie Crenshaw. Annie Crenshaw also arrived from Michigan. Both were in the same helicopter, which was interesting. Oh, got a wreck. Somebody's around. Who is that around? And that's Josh Harmon. And there's a lot of damage to Josh Harmon's machine. Well, you can add, and also I forgot to mention, Sean Art also just came back from Winston Cup qualifying. He also had an early draw, and he ran into Josh Harmon, and looks like Cervantes has got a piece of it. Is the damage significant for Cervantes to go to a backup car? Yes, it is, because look, he's got a hood buckle on his 38. And Josh Harmon's got rear end damage as a result, so I think those cars will be going to... We had another wreck on the front straightaway. I don't know who that belonged to. Maybe we'll investigate it from here. As we may hit the nun cam, as we're looking at Shyla Ascroft. I wonder who those skid marks belong to. Oh, and it's the 71 Takashi. And she got sent around, but I think that's the... Oh, she got on the wall. Bounces off Eric Alpha. And that would be Jumiaka, who's the one... Yeah, Jumiaka's going to have to go to a backup car. Boy, we're going to have a lot of drivers going to the rear of the field for tomorrow night's race. Unless their damage isn't too bad. And remember, for Sean Art, this is his first laps this weekend because, as I said before, he just came back from practicing and qualifying his Winston Cup Series car. He and a handful of other drivers are going to be flying back to Michigan after this qualifying session, and will be staying up there because they will be getting ready to get ready for Winston Cup happy hour tomorrow. Which, if you don't know the Winston Cup happy hour term, that is the final practice session for Sunday's race. Get ready for Sunday. As we are looking at Sarah Redmond, who is second in the Rookie of the Year standings, trying to run down Ponzo Albanese for the points lead. Was announced Sarah Redmond is going to run full-time in the Craftsman Truck Series coming up for the second season. She is going to be replacing the now banned Jared Johnson in the number... I think she's going to be... she's going to be in the 2 truck replacing the now banned Jared Underhill. That's who it was. Currently 16th quickest in this session. There's Kyle Langland. There's Nathan Orman, who made the show this week. Skylar Taylor, our winner from New Zealand earlier on in the year. There's Cody Smart. As I said, Cody also drew early so he can get here to Darlington. And then, of course, he will head back to Michigan tonight. Get ready to get ready for Winston Cup practice tomorrow. They have 2 sessions tomorrow. They got 2 45-minute sessions. Both will be in the morning, so that's why they're going to fly back to Michigan via helicopter. So that way they can get ready for their practice session tomorrow. Or get ready for their race on Sunday, I should say. Which also would explain why we're racing tomorrow night, so. And that's why all the qualifying is taking part in the day. We're going racing tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As we get ready to bring you coverage of the Winston Cup Series. The Red Bull GT Series race. And then we will have the Winston Cup race on Sunday at Michigan. And as I said, next week, Red Bull GT Series will be off. They got a couple of more off weeks to take care of. Because next week, the only series in action will be Trucks, Busch, and Winston Cup Series as we head to Indianapolis as we get ready for the second race of the first round for Trucks and Busch and the first elimination race for the Winston Cup Series drivers. And Jesse Art currently the fastest. Let me see if I can find that 40 machine. Okay, she's on pit road, 28.453. I do not recall if she or Sean have a pole this season. I do not recall. Let me double check. Sean does have a pole. Jesse Art does not. Okay, so if Jesse Art hangs on to the fastest time, she will start on the pole for tomorrow night's race. Of course, she's not racing this. This is the only race she's running this weekend as Chaz Farmer is pulling into his pit. Chaz Farmer would join her on the front row. It would be Shyla Ascroft and who's in trouble there? Somebody was on the apron. Oh, that's Maddie Crenshaw on the apron. Maddie Crenshaw just had some type of she got hooked by Cody Smart. That's why. Cody Smart not paying any attention, just right rear hooked Maddie Crenshaw into the wall. And Cody's got damage as well because of that. That's no doubtably going to be a backup car, and that's going to be investigated after the session. Oh boy. Talk about we're going to have a really mixed up grid for tomorrow night's race, rather. Even though the 20 is 5th quickest, it's not going to make a difference. Because right now, Lena Rohr would go in the top 10. So wherever the 20 qualifies, that car is not going to start in the top 10. It will start 42nd. Depending on drivers who have to go to backup machines and or driver changes. There's going to be a lot of drivers going to the rear of the field for tomorrow night's race. So the grid would be, quote, unofficial after we apply the grid penalties and all that. It just looked like Cody Smart was coming to pit road, didn't realize Maddie Crenshaw was there, and by the time Cody realized, it was too little too late, so. And Cody Smart's the slowest in this session, so. Well. Josh Harmon, because he did go to a backup car, will start at the rear of the field, but with where he's qualified, it really wouldn't make a difference. We know the 20's going to the rear of the field tomorrow night because Avon Murray practiced and qualified practiced and qualified the 20 in the show and is qualifying the 20 right now. So everybody behind the 20 will move up a spot. As we're looking at Cody Goforth, the fastest in the session. Here are the points real quickly before I forget. If I don't get it out, say it now, we'll save it for the race tomorrow. But Alexander Underwood has a 21-point lead over Ponzo Albanese. And where's Albanese starting? Well, would have started 34th. But you got a lot of drivers who are going to the rear of the field tomorrow. Cody Goforth, 50 points back, who we're seeing, is third. Sarah Redmond, fourth, 63 back. Skylar Taylor, fifth, 80 back. Our New Zealand winner, Jesse Art, Dina Monroe, Kyler Anderson, Bradley Ream, and Elena Aurora. That is your top 10. Aurora would have started 12th. Oh, we got another wreck. Got more drivers wrecking all over the place. I don't know who that was. Who left all those skid marks on the back. Oh, Skylar Taylor, and she got hit, bounced off the wall into Ricky Cervantes. And of course, Cody Smart and Maddie Crenshaw will probably be going to see the stewards after. Oh, someone's blown up. Reggie Fogelman. What? You can add him to the list of going to the rear. Oh, that's a lot of smoke. And with less than 2 minutes to go, I think that's Reggie Fogelman's session done and dusted, as he got hooked by Henrietta Fitzwater. We're going to see a lot of that tomorrow night. So that means Reggie Fogelman will have to go to the rear of the field. Was going to start 14th. Oh boy, we're going to have a lot of drivers going to the rear of the field tomorrow. And just before the session, we already knew one driver was going to the rear of the field. That would be the 20 because of the driver change. So right now, we've already got a jumbled up grid for tomorrow night's race. The only thing that is going to be possibly official, however, is more likely going to be the front row, but it's going to depend, who's going to the rear of the field, who's going to get sent to the back of the grid for the penalties, if there are going to be penalties for the collisions, like the 36-72 incident. That will be investigated after the session. And yes, Josh Harmon did go to a backup car. Reggie Fogelman was going to start 14th tomorrow night, but because he's going to a backup car and with like 15 seconds left to go, that's probably his session done. Fogelman will have to go to the rear of the field tomorrow. So I've counted, 4 drivers who will be going to the rear of the field for various reasons. Possibly, as that is it for the session. Cody Goforth is the fastest man on the track. He will start on the pole alongside of Jesse Art. And this will be Cody Goforth's first pole of the season, believe it or not. Man, one of the drivers inside the top 10 of the points not had a pole this season. That's kind of surprising. He'll be alongside, as I said, Jesse Art. Ingrid Pollard will be in row 2 with Chaz Farmer. Lucci and Bianchi and Henrietta Fitzwater. Fitzwater did not go to a backup car. She did repair her car. I think that's going to be a racing deal as far as that incident. Row 4 is not going to be the 20 and the 07. It's going to be the 07 and the 64, Shyla Asgroff, Campbell Marsh. Because, remember, the 20 is going to the rear of the field for tomorrow night's race due to the driver change. So Ava Murray, doesn't matter if she's 7th quickest, Monica Towns will be going to the rear of the field tomorrow night. So it'll be Shyla Ascroft, Campbell Marsh, who will make up row 4. Row 5 will be Ricky Cervantes and Matthew Hubert. And like I said, everybody else will move up. Reggie Fogelman, who qualified 16th, he will have to go to the rear of the field because of the backup car. Looking further on down through the rest of the qualifying results. Even if Cody Smart were to get a penalty, it wouldn't make a difference anyway because he would already be starting 42nd. But he's going to have some company joining him at the rear of the field, like Reggie Fogelman. The 20 car, which will now be Monica Towns, because, like I said, because of the driver change, we'll have to go to the rear of the field. Maddie Crenshaw, don't know where this is going to hurt her in the grid, because so even though this is technically the starting grid, from seventh on down, it's going to get jumbled up as we have drivers going to the rear of the field. And like I said, if Cody were to get a penalty, it wouldn't make a difference because he's already going to be at the back of the field anyway. So even if Cody's starting 42nd, he's more than likely going to start probably, if I were to take a guess, maybe 38th after the penalties get applied. But this is technically what the starting grid will look like. The top six we know is confirmed. Seventh on down, it's going to be a mystery of, who's going to start where for tomorrow night's race, as far as that's concerned. So we're probably going to end up having, a mixed up grid, which is fine for tomorrow night's race. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed this qualifying session. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the World Racing Association crew today. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because, as I said, Winston Cup practice and final practice will be not aired on TV. They will be first thing in the morning, which will be 2 45-minute sessions. And then we will see the Red Bull GT Series race tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we cap it off with the Winston Cup Series race on Sunday at Michigan at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you'll join us for that. Until then, I've been Dieter Vole signing off. So long from Darlington, as you've been watching another broadcast of the World Racing Association, the greatest racing since 2013.